We're with Kathy Manizza, the head track and field coach at Eastern Connecticut. We're going to do a little bit of a wrap-up interview on the recently completed indoor season. Kath, were you generally satisfied with the way the indoor season went?
That's kind of a tough question, I guess, because we had some great performances. We had some really good improvements across the board. We had a few outstanding performances on an individual basis, but as a team, we didn't really come together at the end at the conference championships like we would have liked. And I think part of what's hard is so many of our meets aren't even scored up until then, so you can talk about track and field being a team sport, but really they're competing as individuals all season. And then we get to the conference championship and we say, okay, now it's all about the team. And for some kids, they handle that pressure really well and they rise to the occasion and they do even better. But some kids get really nervous about that because now they think there's too much pressure on them because it's about the team, not just about themselves. So, I was proud of some of our people who did really well, but we finished fourth out of 7 for the girls. We were only 6 points out of third. That's 1 second place. It's not too bad. 12 points out of second. I think we were in the mix for the girls.
Yes.
For the men, we were 7th, and let's be honest, that's last. But again, we were only 4 points out of 6th, and 15 or so points out of 5th, which is really just 1 or 2 really strong guys scoring in a couple of events, and we had a lot of injuries. So, did I want to be last? No. But am I proud of some of what the kids did? Yeah, absolutely.
Well, did you think with the men's team that going into the season that if they stayed healthy, they could have been more competitive?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we laughed a lot about how we left more points sitting at home in the training room than we brought to the meet. And seven of our scoring men were injured. Some of them for the entire season. Nick Afrigola, probably our best sprinter and team captain, had a back injury. Had nothing to do with track. Just one of those things. He had a back injury. He wasn't able to run at all. Zach Paracella is a mid-distance runner, one of our better mid-distance runners, had plantar fasciitis and didn't run. Max Chase was out from the middle of cross-country season all the way through the indoor season. He started training again in late January, early February, but he wasn't ready to compete until outdoor. And then, those guys never ran. And then we had a few kids get injured during the season that weren't able to compete
in the conference?
At the conference.
Yeah.
So John Mead, our next best sprinter, Russell Jerome, our next best sprinter. I mean, injuries hurt us a lot. They're all back now. If we can keep them healthy for outdoor, I think we'll do a lot better.
Well, let's talk about that. Do you and the team look at the indoor season as a separate thing, or is it more like a warm-up for, okay, let's hit our stride when we get outdoors? How do you approach the indoor season?
I think it's a little bit of both. Indoor track is absolutely its own season. We have an LEC championships, we have a New England championships, it's an NCAA sport. But really, all 3 seasons, if you want to count cross country, build on each other. We use, especially for the distance kids, we use cross country to get ready for indoor, we use indoor to get ready for outdoor, and you hope that you're progressing the whole way. It's a challenge with our facility or lack thereof indoors. We were lucky this winter, up until March, we were lucky we were able to be outside. But it's cold, it's a different kind of track, a 400-meter track versus a 200-meter track. Yeah. Our jumpers don't jump with spikes into an actual pit until they're at a meet. Our pole vaulters don't pole vault until they're at a meet. So yeah, it's hard, but on the flip side, we know we're going to have the meets. We know it's going to be warm once we get there, and get inside. Whereas our first 2 outdoor meets have been canceled. So, it's I think indoor is imperative in New England because of the weather. And the final thing that a lot of kids don't realize is that in high school, their best meets happen in May. You know, the weather gets warm, they're in shape, they're ready to go, and they don't have their championships till early June. Our conference championship is April 28th this year. So before the weather, we'll be lucky if we have a sunny day before that, before the weather's warm. So we really, need indoor to get ready for outdoor, but we also take indoor very seriously and do our best during the season.
We talked a lot just a minute ago about all the injuries for the men, but on the flip side, I just wanted to talk a little bit about your senior co-captain, Cooper Goslin. Talk about someone who was virtually never injured. I mean, talk a little bit about his career, both as a on the track and as a all-around person, academically and everything else. Very special kid.
Oh my gosh, such a special kid. I mean, I actually get a little emotional even just talking about him because Cooper is just amazing. He's three-sport athlete, 4 years, so 12 competitive seasons. He's missed a total of 3 meets, twice for a mild injury that we didn't want it to get worse, and once for a family wedding. Cooper's also a terrific student. I think he has a 3.95.
It's almost a 4.0, yeah.
But he's also just a terrific person to be around. He's very coachable, he's smart, and he gives 1,000% every single time he runs. He can run anything from 8K, 5 miles in cross country, to all the way down to sometimes we use him for the 4x400 relay, which is really a sprint.
Really?
And when he steps on the track, you're going to get everything he's got. I can honestly say Cooper has gotten every ounce of his talent out of himself. It's just amazing to watch him race. At the LECs, he ran the mile, and unfortunately missed New England's by 7/100ths of a second. But it was a personal best, and he kind of sat in the back. He knew there were some faster guys in the race. He was smart. He sat in the back for the first 7 laps, and with 1 lap to go, he just unleashed an unbelievable sprint. He ended up 3rd, I think. Collapsed to the ground, laid on the track, trying to catch his breath for 5 minutes. And then he got up and warmed up for the 1,000 40 minutes later. I mean, he gives it everything every single time. You can't ask for a better athlete to coach.
I've always sort of felt sorry for him this year because he's really been the shining light. With all the injuries and everything else you've had going on, he's been the shining light, and he never seems like he's down. He's always a positive person.
I agree with that, and I really felt that during cross country, that
exactly.
He had a great cross country season. He was the captain. He stayed positive, and the team kind of fell apart around him.
Yeah.
But he didn't let it get him down. He encouraged and he motivated the kids that weren't injured, and definitely got the best out of his teammates that he could. So he's had an interesting experience here. I mean, as a freshman, he ran with Lee Katanak, and they had a great season, and then he's had everything.
Yeah.
So, but he's always given his best no matter what. So you can't take anything away from that.
Let's talk a little bit. We just talked about the men, their injuries. Wasn't a good year cross country or indoor so far. How about the women? You had to be happy. You had 3 or 4 or 5 kids that really just did some amazing things this year.
Yeah. The women had a really good year in general. I mean, we saw Samantha McCoskey go from 5:32 in the mile to 5:12. 20-second improvement as a junior. I mean, where did that come from?
That doesn't happen, no.
But I guess the funny part with Sam was, I think three meets in a row we were frustrated because she couldn't quite get that school record, which I think it was 5:22. She'd run 5:22.4, 5:22.5, and then one day she just decides to shatter it and runs 5:16, and then the next week she shatters it again with a 5:12. I mean, it was incredible.
To be that close for that many races and then suddenly just completely decimated.
Sometimes I think that's mental. It's like all of a sudden you believe in yourself. And I think that's what happened to Sam. Is she knows now how good she is, and she's got huge goals for the outdoor season and for next year. So, we're excited about that. Keep her healthy and keep her focused. She's going to have a great next year and a half.
How about Madeline Dahlberg? She sort of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, Maddie was a gift. She's from Sweden. She, very talented athlete in a whole variety of events, everything from long jump, hurdles, to the heptathlon. She started in January, so we've really only had her for whatever that is, 8 weeks now. And she hadn't competed for the last year and a half. So she was a little rusty, needs to get a little more conditioning, but incredibly talented. And first meet, she broke the school record in the hurdles. Second meet, she broke the school record in the long jump. She kept getting better in the long jump and ended up finishing 19th in the nation. Only 17 go to the NCAAs, and she was only a centimeter away from that. So, you know, get her in a little bit better shape, get her used to being in the United States, a lot of changes in her life, and I think we'll see some good things from Maddie, for sure.
She seems like a pretty mature kid who can handle a lot of things, because she's gone through a lot in the last year.
Yeah.
Coming from another country.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you walk in from another country, and a week later you're in your first track meet.
Yeah.
You know, really, she had 5 days, I think. No, she didn't even have 5 days. Maybe she had 3 days of practice before her first meet.
And look what she did.
Yeah. So, and we had a couple really good relay teams.
Absolutely.
The 4x8, which was Haley Knox, Christina Goslin, Samantha, and freshman Lauren Bresson.
Lauren Bresson, yeah.
They won the conference championships, and they placed 7th in New England, getting all New England. That was a fun team to watch, especially with Sam running the anchor. We started calling Sam the hunter because she ran everybody down. She always came from behind. And then the 4x2 team, they started off with a little bit of a disadvantage because Ariane Brown, who was our best sprinter last year, wasn't able to start running until January for a couple of different reasons, but she got better and better as the season went on, and they ended up 9th, I think, at New England's, just one out of being all New England.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was a great team too, and I think they'll do even better in the outdoor season in the 4x1. So.
Kath, last question. I mean, the last year or so, you put together a great staff. I mean, you've got some people that are very well skilled and very knowledgeable in a lot of areas. Just take a second and talk a little bit about what some of those assistant coaches, or all those assistant coaches, has brought to the program the last year or so.
Yeah.
With the exception of Bill, he's been here for a while.
Yeah, Bill's been here, but
Bill Wilkie.
That was one of the biggest challenges for me coming from University of Hartford, because, you know, Hartford, it's a much bigger area to draw from to get assistant coaches.
Exactly.
And all of our assistant coaches are part-time, so we're asking them to be free in the middle of the day. If you've got another job, that's kind of tough, and then not only that, but to be in Willimantic in the middle of the day. But this year it's really come together, and it's exciting. I hope everybody stays next year, stays for the next 5 years, 10 years, whatever.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
But yeah, we have Bill, who's very versatile. Bill's also the head coach in Connecticut for the disabled athletes. He can coach any event, and this year he's focused on the sprints and the jumps, which is a great combination because all jumpers have to sprint. So we're able to, you know, combine those workouts a little better than we have in the past. But we picked up a couple of alumni who are passionate about Eastern and about track and field, and that's really helped us. I mean, last year Tim Thayer walked into my office. I think I coached him in 2000, maybe?
Yeah.
1999 or 2000. I remembered him. He came in. He'd just gotten hired at Wyndham High School, and he came in and he said, "You may not remember me," and I didn't recognize him.
Me either.
But
Not
I
the face.
absolutely remember him. So once I knew who he was, you know, and he volunteered last year, and the kids loved him, so we hired him this year, both as an assistant for cross country, and he's been working with our throwers, which, you know, that's somebody I didn't mention who had a spectacular season. Matt Penny, as a junior,
Absolutely, yeah.
improved
Yeah.
every single meet.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's hit it off with Tim, and they're doing great things in the throwing events. Andre Reynolds
Andre, yeah.
graduated 3 years ago, holds the school record in the 60 and the 110 hurdles, I think.
Yep.
And he's working with our hurdlers 3 days a week. super enthusiastic. Andre loves Eastern, he loves track and field, he's very outgoing, and he's just great to have on the team. The hurdlers love him, but also at the meets he interacts with everybody and cheers. He's got a loud voice. It's a lot of fun. Mariah McPhee just graduated last year after being one of our better distance runners. She helped me with cross country. She's helping me with all the office work now. Learning the track isn't just about being on the track.
Yeah.
Or coaching isn't just
Exactly
about being on the
right.
track.
Yeah. The time on the track is the small part of the
That's
coaching.
the easy day. And then finally we got really lucky, and we have a volunteer, Dave Gibo, who's a pole vaulter. He went to Eastern for a little while, and then he graduated from Southern, where he was actually the NCAA champion in the pole vault.
Yeah.
He's coached both his daughters, who were All-Americans in the pole vault, and he was coaching at Southern Maine for a little while. But he lives in Brooklyn, so this is a much easier, Brooklyn, Connecticut.
Yeah,
so
right.
This is a much easier commute for him. And again, just passionate about his event. He's a student of pole vault, and he's done a great job with our pole vaulters. So it's great. I'm excited. You know, outdoors should be a lot of fun if we can ever get a meet in.
Well, you want to just talk very briefly that you did talk about, since you had a couple of meets canceled, and then we'll wrap it up. You had a couple meets canceled, but now you've added another home meet, which would give you 2 home meets, which has never happened.
Yeah. We just found out this morning that our meet this Saturday down in Pennsylvania was canceled because they got so much snow.
Yeah.
And then yesterday, the coach at Southern New Hampshire had told me that our meet next weekend is canceled. So we were kind of scrambling around trying to find a meet to go to, and it seems like there weren't any. I mean, next weekend's Easter weekend. Maybe that's why. I don't know. There's snow everywhere. So I just sent an exploratory email out to all the schools that were going to go to Southern New Hampshire, and instead I guess they're going to come here.
Good.
And we're going to do it Friday afternoon, which I think will be nice also, because then the athletes will all be able to go home for Easter weekend, Saturday, Sunday.
That's great.
But we've got 6 or 7 schools joining us next Friday afternoon, and you know, hopefully, fingers crossed, no more snow.
Well, Kat, thanks for being with me, and if you guys do open the outdoor season, good luck.
Okay, thanks a lot.